Hello and welcome to Happy for PR podcasts. Today I'm here with Chief Executive of ACID, Dids Macdonald. Hello Dids, how are you?
Hello, I'm fine, Fiona, thank you.
So for the listeners, can you tell us a little bit about your background and why you decided to create ACID?
Yes, of course. I started, first of all, as an interior designer and started an interior design company with a friend of mine. Before that, we used to be air cabin crew for British Airways. So it was quite a big change from being air cabin crew to starting an interior design company. We're very lucky doing that in that we got some top jobs. The slight downside of that was that several of our projects were copied and the people who'd commissioned us used our projects and the work that we put into them. We then started a product design company, designing products for the interior design, top-end interior design market, because at that time there was sort of dearth of original products around. Again, every time we brought a new product range out, we found that it was copied. So I began, instead of spending most of my time designing and managing the business, spent my time trying to find the copycat. So in the end, I got together with some other designers in Chelsea Harbour. We sat around a table in 1996 and said this has to stop. So I guess from a roundtable action group in 1996 to where we are now with approximately 1,100 member companies, we're the leading voice in the UK for design and IP, and also the leading voice within government to try and press for design law reform.
Yeah, because you're working quite closely with the government to change the laws, aren't you? It's really interesting that it came from a need rather than a want. You know, you needed to do it. It was kind of at the time, you had to kind of change roles in some ways, didn't you, to kind of protect yourself?
Well, I think if you're a designer, you're usually passionate about what you create. And it's like anything you experience in life. If you're passionate about something and somebody does wrong by you, then you want to put it right, really. So that's why I started campaigning for design law reform. And we were rewarded yesterday, after a very, very long campaigning battle, for deliberate registered design infringement to have criminal sanctions as the ultimate resort. What we do want to try and get is, when this goes through the Commons and the Lords, is to influence government to include unregistered design right, because the majority of designers in this country rely on unregistered rights, so that's what we're pressing for. And that's what I hope that anybody who's listening to this will want to come on board and support us, because I think it's really important that we get design right really high on government's priorities, because it produces so much for the UK economy, £33.5 billion. There are 350,000 of us, so we must be doing something right. And we're also ranked, I think it's about fourth in the world. So it's about time that people recognise the value of British design and the value of British designers, and that it's actually wrong to steal and free ride on others' ideas.
How can we help you with this campaign? Are you going to be setting up a petition?
What we're going to do is we've identified throughout the country people's MPs. We're going to be writing to people. There's a template letter that you can access, which really explains quite simply what people do as a business, if they employ people, how many people rely on them and their creativity for jobs, and that whether they rely on unregistered rights, and the argument for including unregistered rights in what will be legislation. So there's a long journey to go before it is a law, and so there's also a long time that people can be involved and engaged to protect their futures. So in practical terms, what we're hoping for a government-backed campaign which will start on September the 1st with our ACID marketplace, which is going to be a marketplace where designers can put their designs in a safe marketplace that's on our design data bank and through IP tracker, and that we can invite design buyers to view it. So what we're trying to present to retailers, to manufacturers, is a safe trading marketplace, so that ACID members can show their designs and any interest is tracked. But obviously, instead of what we've had now is a design data bank with over 350,000 designs where people can't see them, designers are now going to have the opportunity to give permission for those to be seen. And what we're hoping to create is a conduit, a safe trading conduit between designers and design buyers. So the ultimate aim is that consumers will realise the value of original design, and that they will alter their purchasing powers to say, well, yeah, I want to support British designers, I want to support British design. So there's a whole load of things that people can do, including writing to their MP, and we can help in all those ways.
That's amazing. I think because there is that vulnerability when you create a new design and you then, a lot of people kind of create something, then they instantly put it on their social media marketing without any protection, just because they want to get it out there. But now what you're going to be creating is a marketplace where they can put that design on your website and it'll be instantly protected and marked and dated, and that's wonderful.
It's belt and braces, really, and I think the most important thing, obviously, there's been an explosion or a revolution with social media, which is fantastic in so many respects. But I think that, there has to be a clear distinction between using social media for one's personal use and using it for one's professional use. And if you are using it for professional use, you have to really have safeguards. And the safeguards are really putting belt and braces around it. At the end of the day, nobody can stop persistent copying. But what we can do is change the culture and put some safety measures around it. And we've come up with the idea that we can do those safety measures, still using social media to get the messaging out. So I think it's really important that designers, there's no point having a design and not showing it to anybody. And of course, social media is a free way of showing it to people, but it also is vulnerable. So I think it's designers knowing what IP they create, what they can do in simple positive messages to get the word out that what they create has value. Unless you say what you create has got value, others won't value it. There's quite a lot of approaches that we can take. Don't forget that all the social media platforms also have complaint processes. So if somebody is either infringing a design or an image or text or whatever on social media, there is a complaints procedure that users can use. And usually if they can provide evidence of their design creation, and that the evidence can be in the form of either a registered right or an unregistered right, then most social media providers take the infringement of intellectual property rights very seriously. So I think it's important to remember that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's good advice. And I think you're right, there needs to be a stepping back in some way and looking at what people are doing and how they're representing themselves. I think a lot of times it's just an automatic process of putting things on social media. And sometimes I think you need to step back and value yourself, like you're saying, and value your work and formalise it in some way.
Exactly. I mean, we have a design data bank which is free to members, and it's a means of people send it to us online. It's a means of saying, well, this has been received by us. It doesn't add to the rights that you've already got, but it's in a safe place where ACID is an independent witness to when it has been sent to us, which is usually very near to the time of creation. So the whole thing is to be able to prove to anybody that there is a prior art.
How can people benefit from ACID, and who's your target audience? Which industries?
We have got very many audiences and very many designers, from lighting designers to product designers, jewellery, interior designers, graphic designers. There are about 55 different design disciplines, and we want to reach everybody to say that really that intellectual property is a positive force. When you create, you're actually creating tradable intellectual property. It sounds such a sort of a terminology which is so far from designing, but that is actually what it is. And the whole point about creating something, obviously, first of all because you're passionate about it, but also to monetize it, and to monetize it for you as the creator.
What do I need to do to become a member? Do I just sign up through your website?
Yes, there's lots of join ACID, there's lots of explaining the benefits, and the benefits include access to an intellectual property helpline. So that's for initial free advice if you've been copied, or if you're worried about something that's too close to something that's already in existence. It includes you can use IP Tracker, which is a simple-to-use electronic sending system where you can send your important files to third parties. They agree terms and conditions before they access your file, and a copy of the file is sent to ACID, sort of creating a record of your design's delivery. So it's quite useful if you're going into a pitch or if you're going to see a design buyer, is to just put the pitch document through IP Tracker prior to that. We communicate through social media. There's tips and advice. There's various generic agreements that can be used. Regular flashes about case studies, what people have done to take action. And I think there's another clear benefit is really sort of creating an IP strategy, which we can help you with. Most people don't have an IP strategy, and it's like a lot of things that as small businesses, it's very difficult to cover everything. But that is very simple. It's about positive communication. It's about being proactive. It's about education about your IP. It's saying, well, if you are copied, choose your battles very carefully, and use any settlements to send a positive message out to your industry sector. Register if you can. It's about trade secrets if you're working with other people. Confidentiality, for example, guard your trade secrets very carefully. And always, sometimes that we as designers probably don't do is look at the bottom line. And the bottom line is to have agreements with people you're working with. And it doesn't have to be rocket science. It's the terms on which you agree to do business with somebody, another designer, somebody you're commissioning to do a design, somebody who's commissioning you, somebody who you want to sell your designs to. And the other huge benefit is that there's been again, as a result of our lobbying, they've now introduced a small claims track in the same way you can take action against people who haven't paid you for small amounts. Now for IP infringement cases, less than £10,000, there's a fast-track process in the intellectual property court. So it's all about trying to help people really maximise the value of what they create.
Since you began ACID, I think it was probably the start of the entrepreneur and people starting to do their own businesses and things like that, which is incredibly exciting, especially if you're a creative person. To launch your own business and to do it your own way is incredibly exciting. But I think through passion and creativity, sometimes the formalization of your actual business and the business side of things gets lost sometimes. So having an organisation like you, like ACID, is really useful because it acts as a support system to guide and to help people through when they don't always know the answers.
I mean, that's true. I mean, our hot membership hotline is busy most of the time because as a designer, most people work in isolation, or a lot of people work in isolation. And with all the things that you have to learn, sometimes you can feel very isolated. So sometimes just a call to say, oh, I'm a bit stuck on this, or I need to know about that, or what's the best route to this, or a call to the ACID hotline where every single call is answered can usually help you. And if we can't help you, we know somebody who will.
I think you've got a great team and it's very on hand and it's very personal, and I think that's really good because I think people do need that guidance and they do need that help in kind of moving forward with their own businesses. So what's the best advice anyone's ever given you?
Oh, that's a very, very difficult. But no, I suppose tenacity and never giving up and fighting what you believe in to make a change. I guess I changed horses midstream and I decided not to give up because I was so incensed by people, if you like, stealing my work or our work. If you're not happy about something, do something about it. Don't talk about it, do it. And, always have your cup half full and not half empty.
Yes, that's true. Well, thank you so much, Dids. It's been really, really lovely to talk to you, and we will be doing a series of podcasts with Dids Macdonald from ACID, talking about protecting your work. But thank you very, very much, and have a lovely day today, won't you? Thank you.
A pleasure, and good luck, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.